Okay, welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. I'm Nathan. If you watch my show, you're in my corner. Today's episode's a post-fight show for UFC Fight Night, Gustafsson versus Teixeira. And, wow, this main card was just, well, this entire event, top to bottom, from the first prelim to the main event, were just phenomenal matches. You had good guys and bad guys, and, guys trying to move up the rankings and prove themselves, and guys trying to maintain their spot like Gustafsson in the main event. And anyhow, there's a post-fight rundown of the main card, 6-fight main card, and it was phenomenal. So let's get started. The main event was a light heavyweight clash with Alexander Gustafsson and Glover Teixeira. And this was pretty much what I thought it was going to be, where Gustafsson got the knockout, like I said on my pre-fight show. But it went on until the 5th round, and it was early in the 5th round, and I was kind of shocked that Glover lasted that long. Glover took a lot of hard shots, and I think Gustafsson needed to let his hands go a little earlier on, and just not turn his back to his opponent too much. Had he done that, I think he could have finished him in 1 or 2 rounds quicker. Nonetheless, it was a great fight. I'm happy Gustafsson won. I hope he becomes champion as a fan. And yeah, it was KO punches round 5 officially for Gustafsson. And this was pretty much a stand-up war. There's really no ground game in this fight, and it was a good stand-up war. Great 5-round main event for UFC Fight Night, especially in Sweden, in Stockholm. And Gustafsson maintains the #1 ranking in the spots. So it's looking pretty good right now for him. And then in the co-main event in the light heavyweight division also, we had Volkan Ozdemir versus Misha Cirkunov. And I thought Misha Cirkunov was going to win this. But yeah, Volkan Ozdemir, he proved me wrong. It's not like I don't think highly of Volkan. I think he's a talent and he's a force to be reckoned with in the light heavyweight division. I decided to be Cirkunov tonight, but I'm a big fan of both. I think Volkan has his hands full with, it looks like Jimmy Manuwa is the next opponent from the look of things. And yeah, it's going to be a good fight. Nonetheless, though, yeah, Volkan, first round KO punches. It was only 28 seconds into the first round, and it was a quick fight. He caught him early and got him up against the cage, and that was all she wrote. So Volkan definitely is a top 5 light heavyweight after a big win like that, knocking out a top 10 guy and then being OSP in his previous match. So it's pretty amazing stuff. And then in the welterweight division, we had Peter Sabota versus Ben Saunders. Man, this was another one where I thought, Ben Saunders was going to win. There's only 2 matches I was wrong on this main card, and this was the other one. Peter Sabota, TKO punches and knee, round 2. I thought Ben Saunders would do some crazy jiu-jitsu move and get Peter Sabota to the ground, because I figured Peter Sabota having such a great striking background that he would now, Ben Saunders would be willing to stand and bang only so much, but Ben Saunders has such a great ground game and he's so unorthodox at times that he would go for a crazy takedown of some sort and be able to get it at some point. And nonetheless, that's not exactly the way it happened, and Peter Sabota is definitely back doing well in the UFC in his, I believe, 2nd run. And yeah, Peter Sabota, I think, deserves a top 15 opponent in his next fight. Peter Sabota is a tough, durable veteran in the sport, and he helps build that European market, and so they should give him a key matchup in his next fight. Then, also in the welterweight division, we had Amari Akhmedov versus Abdul Razak Al-Hassan. And both these guys are prospects in the welterweight division. There are 2 guys that you pretty much want to keep a lookout for. Yeah, I figured Omari would get the takedowns on this, use the Sambo wrestling background, and I thought this would be more lopsided than it was. This was more of an evened out fight because Abdul landed some good heavy shots that rattled Omari, and Omari, I felt like, if it stayed standing too long, Omari might be able to get knocked out. But I thought Omari would just play it safe, play it smart, and get those takedowns real quick. And that didn't necessarily pan out like that, but he was able to get those takedowns still. And Abdul, his takedown defense held up for moments in the fight here and there. But nonetheless, Omari got takedowns throughout the whole fight, and that's what won him the fight. I think what surprised me too is he wasn't able to keep him down all 5 minutes each one, and it was a competitive fight. It was more competitive than I thought. Not to take anything away from Abdul, but I just thought Omari, his Sambo wrestling background was just gonna basically is gonna be human blanket on top of Abdul. And Omari proved that he had some stand-up skills as well, and used his striking to transition to the takedowns pretty well. I was pretty impressed by Omari's performance, and yeah, he squeaked out the win here by split decision. I still think it should have been probably 29-20 unanimous decision, but nonetheless the judges got it right. I think split decision win for Omari, and I think Omari's, again, a prospect to look out for at welterweight. Then in the welterweight division, we had Nordine Taleb versus Oliver Enkamp, and this one I figured Nordine, he is a points fighter, and there's nothing wrong with that. That he would win on strikes in this fight, and pretty much that's how it played out, and he won decision unanimous. I think this was too much of a step up for Oliver. It was too much too soon because Nordine, coming from TriStar and has trained there for years and years, and he's a durable veteran, and he's an Ultimate Fighter alumni. I figured Nordine Taleb would, his experience would pay off, and I think Oliver give him more of an up-and-comer in his next match, and I think he may do a lot better because he's a talented striker still, but Nordine was just able to mix it up real well in this fight. And Nordine got the decision win, just as I predicted on my pre-fight show, and he hangs in there in the welterweight division. Then to kick off the main card in the middleweight division, we had Jack Ramonson versus Alex Nicholson. And wow, this TKO punches round 1 in 2 minutes. It was pretty amazing. Nordic pride, what can I say? I had to root for Jack on this fight, and I knew he would win, but in 2 minutes I was not thinking it would be like that. But it was an impressive win against a durable veteran in mixed martial arts in Alex Nicholson. Jack, he's just, or Yak, however you want to say it, was looking good in this fight, and I think he's a prospect at middleweight. I think especially if his ground game holds up in future fights, he will be a possible contender. So that wraps up my post-fight for this main card. Stay tuned for my pre-fight show of UFC 212, which is Max Holloway, the interim featherweight champion in the UFC, going up against Jose Aldo, the featherweight champion of the UFC. And it's a title unification bout, so stay tuned for my predictions on that one. Until then, see ya.